Welcome back, everybody, to our latest live stream. I hope everybody's having a good evening so far. We have actually a lot to talk about in this live stream. I had a forecast earlier today regarding a winter storm that is actually coming right now towards the Midwest, or it's actually starting right now, and I didn't cover everything that you should know, so I want to kind of go over everything that you need to know, because there's a lot of areas that will actually be impacted by this trough up in Canada that actually could potentially bring snow as far south as areas potentially like Milwaukee, and as well as back into areas like Pennsylvania. Now, it won't be as significant as what we'll see in the upper Michigan Peninsula, but we will definitely still be seeing some notable snow here over the next 48 to 72 hours. And really beginning with tonight is when we'll begin to start to see some hefty snow accumulations, all due to this trough that is currently centered back up here in Canada. I'll go kind of a bit more wide here. The trough is back up here in Canada, though, and we're seeing all these bands going north to south, and that's going to create some lake effect snow going into tomorrow, really overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, as well as into Monday night and Tuesday morning. We'll see ongoing lake effect snow back up in the upper Michigan Peninsula. So there's gonna be a lot to talk about in this forecast. Let's first begin with what's going on right now, because we do also have it. Actually, we're beginning to start to see some transitions right now from rain into now some wet snow. And now this wet snow is a big part of everything, because basically what we're talking about with wet snow is that it accumulates much quicker than something like dry snow, or in like the teens or single digits. That snow doesn't accumulate nearly as fast. With wet snow around the 30-degree mark that we're currently seeing right now, this snow is going to accumulate pretty quickly. Now, we're not seeing a whole lot yet. It's a lot more rain right now. Near Market, for example, we're seeing a lot more rain there. Ironwood is an area that we're just beginning to see a transition now. West of Iron River is where we're also beginning to see that transition as of now as well. Let me hop over to the... let's go over to this real quick. Let's go over to the temperatures. So this is a current look at the temperatures across this region on the METAR data. So this is at airports locally, and actually some areas near Ironwood, for example, now dropping to the freezing mark at 32 degrees. Also northeast of Park Falls in northern Wisconsin, we're at 32 degrees there as well. Also west of Iron River, 34 degrees. So yeah, we're again beginning to start to see that transition from rain over to snow, and that's going to be ongoing throughout the overnight hours tonight. Back over near areas like Market, for example, though, it's a little bit different. We're seeing temperatures still in the mid to upper 30s, so it's primarily rain back out this direction with maybe a couple of wet snowflakes mixing in there, but nothing too crucial as of right now. Back over in areas like Minnesota, this is an area that we're not going to see much of any accumulation within the next 24 hours. We've actually seen some areas get upwards of 2 to 3 inches. Over in Duluth, for example, they've seen almost 3 inches of snow, even this morning. I'll have photos on that here in a second, but this area is still seeing some passing snow showers. It's nothing too crazy. A couple of light to moderate snow showers are moving currently down to the south. Those will reach again Duluth over the next 12 hours or so. We'll still see that on go, but it should start to diminish in the overnight hours. Back up here to the north, we're seeing a few snowflakes as well, northeast of Silver Bay, up in northeastern Minnesota, but again, that's just beginning, or really ending, excuse me, now, but we are beginning to see a couple of wet snowflakes out there as well. All right, let's hop over into the timing and whatnot. I'm actually on the wrong screen. I just realized that this was supposed to be the right screen for this. I did not realize that at the beginning, but let's go over to the actual forecast, and let's kind of get into everything that you need to know. So beginning with the watches and warnings. So we do have winter storm warnings in effect. Let me go to a different color here. Where winter storm warnings are in effect in those pink boxes. So that's going to be basically the western portions of the Michigan Peninsula, or the upper Michigan Peninsula. Also, winter storm watches in effect just to the east of there. That's going to be the central upper Michigan Peninsula. And also there are winter storm advisories in effect for areas that actually do extend into northern portions of Wisconsin. Again, we're going to potentially see as much as 18 to 24 inches of snow over the next 72 hours. Again, more on that here in a moment. Let's hop over into the timing. Beginning with tonight, we'll begin to see that transition from rain over to snow over the next really 3 or 4 hours, especially across areas just west of Market, for example, near Houghton, for example, as well. Those areas will begin to start to transition. Now, areas right along the Great Lakes, probably going to stay mostly rain. If you go like about 30 miles inland, though, we're going to see a lot more snow accumulations, and you'll see that on the forecast here in just a moment. But overnight tonight, we'll start to see light to moderate snow, possibly some heavy snow going to the early morning hours tomorrow. Again, areas in the western upper Michigan Peninsula will begin to start to notice more of that heavy snow potentially, with a couple of those bands coming again right off the lake. By tomorrow, late morning into the afternoon, we're still going to see snow on go. That's why we could very well see the potential for some extreme impacts across these areas. Travel conditions are going to be deteriorating. It's going to be pretty difficult traveling out there if you're anywhere in basically anywhere in the upper Michigan Peninsula or northern Wisconsin. Could also see a little bit of those impacts. Going into the evening hours tomorrow night, snow will continue. It doesn't end. It's just, again, it's lake effect snow, and this is something that we see quite often, especially during the winter, but obviously during the early fall, we're actually seeing something like this as well. obviously today and as well as into tomorrow. But again, lake effect snow is just going to continue throughout Monday and eventually going to Tuesday. That lake effect snow just doesn't seem to ever end. This is why we're going to possibly see as much as 24 inches of snow in some of these areas, possibly even a little bit more. I can't rule out an isolated location. So it's pretty crazy what we're going to see again over here over the next 48 to 72 hours. Going to Wisconsin, not a whole lot is going to be seen here. We could maybe see a little bit of snow though near Green Bay, for example, going into potentially tomorrow morning. It won't really accumulate too much because it's not going to be really, basically, it's going to be too warm for any accumulations to be possible down this direction. But we might see a little bit of a few snowflakes out there tomorrow morning. That could go as far south as Milwaukee, but no accumulation again is expected down there. Travel impacts also not expected. Going into tomorrow by lunchtime, we still, again, could see that potential for a few flurries out there across areas like southern Wisconsin, but again, no impacts really expected there. Where we're going to see impacts, though, is anywhere back up in here near Ironwood and Market. Those are the areas that we're really going to see the greatest impacts from this winter storm, and eventually going into Monday night into Tuesday morning, we'll probably start to dry out across most of Wisconsin, with most of the snow still ongoing there up in the upper Michigan Peninsula. So it's going to be very active here over the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's hop over into some of the basically estimates from the National Weather Service, kind of giving you an idea of what you can expect across your region. So right now, the current forecast across Wisconsin, our highest amounts again off to the north, but we may see a little bit of up to a coating maybe, or up to an inch maybe across areas along the Great Lakes. So anywhere near Green Bay, for example, maybe going to see an isolated amount, possibly closer to a coating, or maybe up to an inch. Again, I can't rule out a little bit further inland, but the chances as of now seem pretty low. Back up to the north, near areas like Eagle River, we'll start to see accumulations increase the further north we go. So again, 1 to 2 inches possible there. Also, another look at the upper Michigan Peninsula. This is an area that we'll be watching very closely because there is actually an area on this map that goes as high as 24 to 30 inches, and that's in between Larson as well as just to the north of Republic. We could possibly see between 24 to 30 inches of snow. That is unbelievable for this time of the year, by the way. I know we're in mid-October and we're getting close to winter, but that's still pretty remarkable to say the least. Otherwise, across the entire area, we're really ranging with totals. I mean, some areas that are only like 50 miles to the east of that big, basically jackpot of snow that's expected, only between 0 to 3 inches in areas like Munishing, if I'm saying that name right. That area is going to possibly see between 0 to 3 inches. Further east you go, it just gets lower and lower. Further south you go, it gets lower and lower. So again, and it's big range. Even like Market, for example, that's right along the coast there. They're only forecasted to see somewhere between 0 to 5 inches. It's a pretty large range, but it's going to depend on how cold it gets and if it is cold enough for snow to accumulate there. But again, further inland you go, right there near Lance, I believe it is. That's an area that we could possibly see upwards of 24 to 30 inches. All right, winter storm impacts overall. So what are we expecting in terms of the impacts across really this entire region? Well, the most significant and the worst impacts will be felt across areas like Covington and really just west of Market near Highway 41. That region's going to probably see the greatest impacts from this winter storm. Also near areas like Ironwood could also see some extreme impacts. This means basically what the extreme impact means. This is the highest on the winter storm intensity that the Weather Prediction Center issues. This means that travel is not advised. It basically means that it could be life-threatening if you're traveling out there. Those red areas that are just outside of it is a very small area. It actually goes through areas like Cutin as well. Those areas could maybe see potentially some dangerous or even impossible traveling conditions as well. Moderate, and as well as the couple of other colors here, you can see actually the bottom side of your screen, it'll give you the color key. Minor impacts are expected in areas just northeast of Park Falls, north of Rylander, and anywhere in that little gray shaded region in comparison to the white here. We'll possibly see some little very minor impacts, if not really no impacts at all. Just some snow, maybe just a few snowflakes, nothing too crazy outside of there. That include areas like Newberry as well. All right, what's the snowfall totals? What are we looking at in terms of how much snow you'll see? This is a couple of computer model estimates that I'll show you. This is the first one. Ironwood is currently forecasted to potentially see somewhere between, again, possibly 6 to 10 inches of snow. If you get obviously really lucky, you might see that much. I don't know if you'll see that much. I think it might be a little bit lower than that, but that's the current forecast for right now. Back over again, just west of Market, it is a huge deepening of the colors here. I mean, we're talking again, this little area, and we don't have any really towns right here, but that little area there could again see upwards of 24 to 30 inches. It's not out of the question at this point. Another look back up in the upper Michigan Peninsula, Houghton, for example, 7.4 inches of snow is right now being estimated at least over the next 48 hours. Could even see a little bit more beyond then. Also going to areas that are not going to see too much snow, but will feel at least some minor impacts from this little winter storm. Could maybe see a coating possibly across areas like Fort Wayne, South Bend, and Portage across areas like northern Indiana and southwestern Michigan. So nothing too crazy, but you might see a little bit of snow really early again for this time of the year. Hopping over to the east, going into Ohio, areas just south of Cleveland could also see between a coating to maybe an inch of snow. Higher accumulations will be over in Pennsylvania, near Meadville, for example, possibly between 1 to 2 inches of snow. I forgot to mention Michigan, by the way. Michigan, anywhere just south of Traverse City. Traverse City. I've had a lot of people correcting me on names, by the way, but just south of there, we could see between 1 to 3 inches of snow as well across this entire region. Also, southwestern Michigan, as I mentioned before, near Kalamazoo, for example, could possibly see a coating, but our highest snowfall accumulations anywhere in the lower Michigan Peninsula will likely be in the northern part of the state. So we, again, could maybe see between 1 to 3 inches. Also, this will look at the timing for areas in the basically southern Midwest back over in Indiana. Again, a few snowflakes possibly could occur there. It is showing on the HRR model that we'll see a bit more of lake effect snow. I don't expect that right now, but if it does end up happening, we might see a little bit more than just a coating of snow, but it seems like a very low chance as of now. Also into the northeast United States, so going from Ohio back through Pennsylvania, this is another area that we could see some snow. It'll be primarily going into the early morning hours of Tuesday is when we'd see any snow, and any of this snow, again, is not going to really accumulate to too much, anywhere between 1 to 3 inches in northwest Pennsylvania or very southwestern portions of New York is not out of the question, but it's definitely a possibility there. Also in West Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains, we may also see some snow there from this low pressure system, and we could even potentially see snow continue through Tuesday and Wednesday, so we'll have to watch out for that as well. This will look at Pennsylvania. Oh, I've not changed over my screen, my bad. But over into the snow accumulations for northwest Pennsylvania, again, just southwest of or southeast of Erie, might see a little pocket there between about an inch or 2 inches of snow. That would be our highest accumulations there. All right, let's go over to the temperatures for going into Tuesday morning. Temperatures then will be pretty chilly. I mean, we're talking potential wind chills to go into the single digits, but temperatures currently are forecasted to drop into the 20s. We might get some areas just south of Minneapolis or even north of Minneapolis that dive into the teens for low temperatures, and I know some areas are going to be kind of close to record-breaking territory, so we'll have to watch for that as well. Also, going into the temperatures across the southeast United States, this is an area that will not see snow, but they will get very cold. I mean, by Wednesday morning, we're talking a very widespread freeze across areas like Alabama, Mississippi, even Georgia, South Carolina, could even dive into the peninsula of Florida, where we could see a couple of areas get below freezing. This is very early into this time of the year. We do not typically see a big cold blast like this early, but this definitely be something to watch for very closely. Also, we do have freeze warnings in effect for a large portion. Those are your purple boxes on your screen. Back up to the northeast of that, we do have freeze watches in effect. Also going into areas like Georgia and Alabama, and as well as areas like North Carolina, also have some freeze watches. I would expect these get extended a little bit further south over the next 24 hours, but we'll see what happens there. Also, let's go into the future a little bit, because we actually have another system after this one. Obviously, big cold blast over the next few days. That is what's been forecasted for the last about week or so. But eventually going into this upcoming weekend, we're going to have a bit of a warmer pattern. So we might start to see temperatures really warm up, especially in the Midwest. Will start to be a bit above average going into this upcoming weekend. But another system is expected to develop early next week. Now, why am I mentioning this? It is pretty far out, but the potential does exist with this. Not really for a cold blast per se, but this could bring some severe weather across areas in the south and southeast United States. So we'll have to watch this pretty closely. But again, it's pretty far out, but we'll be watching it closely. Cold air definitely expected, though, up in the northern United States, it seems like, with that system. Beyond that, it's kind of just a toss-up in terms of what to expect. Also, for those that are in warnings, watches, or advisories, this is just a little guide. If you want to pause the screen or screenshot this, feel free to. Again, from the National Weather Service, gives you an idea of what you might be in right now. We have winter storm watches, winter storm warnings in effect. We also have winter weather advisories in effect. So all three of these are in effect, but obviously the bottom three or bottom four text. So the blizzard watch, freezing rain advisory, we're not under any of those. But if you want to take a quick screenshot to give you an idea of what you're currently under, make sure to go ahead and do that, because again, that's some pretty interesting information. You at least can get a general idea of what you can expect. All right, we have some photos actually have come out of some of these crazy storms. Let me go back over to this screen. We've actually had some pretty crazy photos already. This is actually from the snow that we saw over in Duluth in Minnesota, and we saw between about 1 to 2 inches in a lot of these areas. This is definitely right around 1 to 2 inches. Again, you can see a little bit of grass there. It looks like it's a lot higher, but that's about 1 to 2 inches of snow or so there on the grass. Also on the roadways, we've seen that same scenario where the roadways have actually been a little bit snowed over. Travel conditions, obviously a little bit, visibility's gone down a little bit in that area from earlier today from the snow that was ongoing. This is also a look at a traffic cam in the same area. Canada. Again, a lot of snow fell here across areas like Minnesota already. So we've seen a pretty crazy, obviously already, we're already starting to see some accumulations, and that was not even from the main winter storm. Let's go back over to this screen and let's go over to the warnings and watches real quick, and let me kind of reiterate who's under what. So areas west of Newberry under winter storm watches right now. This might get upgraded, but this will be anywhere near Garden and as well as just west or east of Gwynn. So areas near 94 and 28 under a winter storm watch. That's going to include anywhere in the blue boxes. And then also going to the winter storm warnings, that's in effect for areas closer to like Market as well as Lance and Houghton, all included in those winter storm warnings. There's also a winter storm warning here. I'm not sure why it's cut out, but there's one there near Highway 45. Ironwood is also under a winter storm warning back into areas into northern Wisconsin. We have 2 counties like Ironwood as well as back over to Eagle River in winter storm warnings as well. And then we have winter weather advisories in effect for areas just in areas like Iron River, Crystal Falls, back through Iron Mountain, Crandon, Rhinelander, and as well as Ashland, all included currently in at least some sort of advisory for right now. But obviously that could change as we get a little bit closer. Here's a look at the live radar, by the way. All right, let me get some chat questions. Hope everybody's having a good night so far. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome on in. That was a lot of talking there for the last like 15 minutes. All right. Also, if you have any questions, any specific questions, feel free to let me know in the chat. Again, this stream will be probably about, I don't know, about an hour or two. See how it goes. Just kind of go over some general stuff. But I was not able to include all of that in my forecast today. That's the kind of the problem with these video forecasts that I make, because they're not, I mean, I try to keep them within 6 minutes, like 6 minutes or less, and I cannot fit all the information in there. There's a lot of information that people need to know. And in addition to all the snow that we're possibly going to see, obviously the main area is what I went over in today's forecast, which is near Market. Actually, let me put some specific snowfall totals on here. I can do that. Let's go and put the snowfall that's currently being at least estimated. It's the 50th percentile, so it's a possibility. This is like an estimate of what we might see tomorrow. Let me go ahead and put that on here. West of Market, for example. All right, here's a look at the snowfall that we might see. And this is an area that's going to be the jackpot. So currently it's estimated to see around 19 inches of snow. Now, the latest forecast from the National Weather Service in Market actually indicated that this area could see between 24 to 30 inches. I think at least it was somewhere between 18 to 24, 24 to 30. Regardless, though, a lot of snow is expected here near Highway 41. This seems to be the jackpot. So again, these names are hard to pronounce, so I do apologize if I mispronounce any, but just southeast of Lance, that's an area that we've already probably going to see somewhere between about a foot, maybe upwards of even 2 feet of snow in that region. Once we get further away from there, though, the snow totals just drop off tremendously, even near Market. I mean, Market's currently forecasted to see between 0 to 5 inches of snow, and that's the power of lake effect snow. I mean, it goes a little bit further inland, so where we actually see the snow is typically a little bit further inland, like here near Highway 41. So again, it's quite interesting what we're seeing here, but again, between about 0 to 5 inches possible there. Otherwise, back through central Michigan Peninsula, we're seeing between, again, anywhere from about 2 to maybe 4 inches on the inland areas. Along the coast, we're really not going to see much of anything. If you see anything, you'll probably be lucky. Houghton, for example, possibly between about 3 to 5 inches up that direction. And then back through here, we're looking at possibly between about 8 to 12 inches in some of these areas. Let me go and put some numbers on the screen, though. Let's make it a little bit easier. So if you are in any of these areas, you can get at least an idea of where we might see our highest snowfall totals. It was actually slightly higher earlier. I think this was upwards of 21 inches when I made the forecast. So it has dived down a smidge, but not by much. Let me just put some of these numbers on the screen here. And at least this will give you an idea of what you can expect in your area. I just deleted all of the ones. Let me do that again. My bad. This at least gives you an idea. If you're in any of these areas, you can at least get a general idea of what you can expect in terms of snowfall totals here over the next 72 hours. Again, this is going to be a pretty elongated event, so I'll kind of pinpoint some other areas in here as well. Higher snowfall totals are going to be inland. Market, again, not forecasted to see 4 inches specifically, but it's gonna be closer to probably 1 to 3. There we go. So we got a bunch of areas here on the screen. So if you have any questions about snowfall totals, this is kind of a general estimate for right now. Yeah, 19 inches. Actually, it could get upwards of 24 to 30, though. I wouldn't rule it out. It gets a little bit higher than that. I think the HRR model is pushing for a much higher total, closer to 30. Actually, I want to kind of show you guys something that's funny. I don't know if it's still showing. I'll kind of show you guys this real quick if I can. See if it actually still shows. Yeah, so the NAM 3K model, let's hop over to this. Actually, it's a little bit more realistic than before, but it was way off before. Let me go over to this. So let's do this. All right, so this is the NAM 3K model. This is not an actual forecast. It's just a computer model. I kind of like looking at this sometimes, but it shows upwards of 36 inches of snow. That's not going to happen, but it's just kind of something interesting to look at. This is what the HRR model was indicating for the highest totals. It was actually indicating upwards of 2 to 3 feet as well. So it is possible that we get upwards of that. It's going to depend on how long this lake effect snow does last, though, across this region. Again, anywhere just along that Highway 41 stretch, going to see somewhere between probably a foot to 2. It possibly could get higher than that, though. We'll have to wait and see what happens here, what evolves over the next 24 hours, because totals very well could get a little bit higher west of market for sure. So we'll have to watch that closely. But again, the NAM 3K model, like a few days ago, was showing like 50 inches. So it doesn't show that anymore, but it did show 50 inches at one point. It's not going to happen, but that was kind of funny. Republic specifically, just south of 41. I don't know if Republic actually shows on this map. But market's probably gonna be somewhere between 6 to 12, I would say. Let me 6 to 12. I think the official forecast actually showed it's Marquette. Thank you. Okay, Marquette. I keep saying market. Marquette. Okay, thank you. But Republic is probably be somewhere between 8 to 12 inches of snow. It's the current forecast, at least from the National Weather Service. I know there were upwards of 8 to 13, so possibly somewhere around there, maybe somewhere around I would say 6 to 12 is a reasonable range, but you might see a little bit more than that. Also, I got a super chat. I missed it. One moment. Like, I think the very beginning. Thank you, Lillian, by the way, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. Windy here in central Wisconsin. I want to snow. Actually, the winds are pretty high. Let me take off the snowfall accumulations real quick so we're not on the same screen. I'll go back to this when we need to, but let's go back over to the live radar feed as of now. And again, we are starting to see that transition to snow now. Areas just northwest of Iron River, for example, we're beginning to see that transition. This is the latest radar update. So yeah, snow is definitely starting to begin now more than anything near Highway 45 and just southwest of Highway 141. That transition will begin more than not probably in the next 3 to 4 hours across this area of Michigan. And again, our jackpot of snow that's expected is going to be back up here near Highway 41. So those areas are going to probably start to transition more closer to the overnight hours, sometime between about 2 to 6 a.m. is probably reasonable. Back near Ironwood, we're also beginning to see some snowfall there. I know we've had some reports as far south as Waasua, if I'm saying the name right. That area, I've actually had a report of a little bit of sleet or snow, one of the two. Somebody reported that earlier. Again, Duluth is still seeing some snow showers as well. Again, this is on the far western end of this entire trough, basically. So we are still seeing a few snow showers out there back near Hibbing and Duluth and just west of Silver Bay. Silver Bay is also seeing a little bit of snow as well. So that will continue here over the next little while. Temperatures are already below freezing in those areas, and they have been for a good portion of today. And Duluth has already seen upwards of 3 inches of snow. So it's already been some decent accumulations there. Thank you, Scott, by the way, for subscribing. I appreciate it. I love this. I'm in Indiana. Indiana's going to see maybe a coating if you're in northern Indiana. But yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of probably happy that they're not going to be seeing a whole lot of snow out of this. So again, the difference with this entire thing, if we just go back over to... I'll kind of transition a lot here, but let's go back over to the accumulation map. And this is a photo from earlier, but let's go over to the accumulation map if I can find it. This is like the different, I mean, it's such a large difference across areas like Wisconsin. I mean, we're talking like, especially in like near Ironwood, for example, you might see upwards of 8 inches, possibly. I don't know if they'll get that high, but we might see, again, some pretty decent snowfall, probably around a half a foot at least. But if you go just a little bit further west or a little bit further south, the difference is enormous. We're talking like between half a foot and travel impacts expected in between that to like absolutely nothing. I mean, it's a crazy difference. Let me go over to the HRR model real quick. We'll put that on here. This is the timing. Again, this is what was actually being forecasted by the HRR, which is, again, a pretty accurate model. It is, again, indicating we might actually see some snow tomorrow morning for areas near Green Bay, Oshkosh, as well as areas near West Bend, and even maybe Milwaukee. But again, accumulation's not really expected to go that high tomorrow there. Maybe just a coating if you're lucky. Higher elevations will have a better chance of that. It's going to be warm enough to the point where we probably will not see a whole lot of accumulations in those areas, but it is definitely possible. If we go back over to the snowfall, though, that's currently being forecasted by the HRR. This is just an idea of what you can expect. And again, it's kind of crazy, the difference that we're seeing. And it actually shows a pocket of up to 1 inch of snow down there, which is possible, by the way. We could see up to 1 inch of snow back near areas like Oshkosh as well as West Bend. It's a low chance, but it is possible. I know the National Weather Service's forecast actually had an area in this region that was going to be possibly up to 1 inch. I don't know if it stretched that far down to Milwaukee, but it was like this area here. Possibly could see upwards of 1 inch. Can't rely on an isolated higher amount, but it's going to be a pretty low chance. But it's possible, depending on what happens tomorrow. And this is a look at Michigan as well. So Michigan's kind of in that same boat. We possibly, again, this is pretty reasonable estimate. It's kind of scattered throughout here, but we'll probably see somewhere between a coating to 3 inches across areas like Michigan. So, but our highest, again, snow accumulations will be back up here west of Marquette. So that's where we're going to, again, see the highest snowfall totals without a doubt. This is the official forecast as well. So if you're curious, this is kind of the official forecast, at least from the National Weather Service, on what they're forecasting currently across areas like Wisconsin and as well as the Upper Michigan Peninsula. So again, and we'll also show you the Upper Michigan Peninsula here in a second. But if you need to pause this, again, this is from the National Weather Service. 30 minutes from Indianapolis. Yeah, I don't think that area will see anything going in terms of snow, at least. But it will definitely be cold. That's without a doubt. It will definitely be cold. It's been very cold for some areas recently. And again, we're going to see that cold blast is just beginning. We're not really at the peak of it yet. It's still starting. Again, if you have any questions, by the way, feel free to leave those in the chat. If you've not already, by the way, make sure to hit the like button down below. We're only 11 likes from 150. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. And we'll keep you updated with the latest on this winter storm. I might have a special forecast tomorrow morning if I'm able to. But yeah, we'll be covering this pretty closely. This is the winter storm impacts, by the way, in terms of what to expect. Again, extreme impacts are expected. This means substantial disruptions to travel and whatnot are going to be expected across areas like Covington. So anywhere in that purple region, I'll kind of zoom in a little bit. So again, that purple region. So that also includes Ironwood, by the way. So main locations in that is Covington, Ironwood. I believe Republic is also included in that as well. Primarily along that Highway 41 stretch is where we're going to probably have that best chance, again, for really extreme impacts. In terms of a lot of snow and disruptive, basically snowfall and whatnot. And it's gonna, again, we could have really very low visibility across those areas. Very well could be slippery across the roadways as well. Major impacts out there outside of that as well. It do include areas like Houghton as well, back up in the northern portions of the Michigan Peninsula. And we also have some minor impacts possible in those yellow shaded regions. Orange shaded regions are moderate impacts. So you can kind of give or take where you're at. Again, that's where we're going to see the most substantial impacts. Does anybody know about school closings at all? I don't know if they close for this sort of stuff, but I'm not entirely sure if they have announced any of those school closings yet. Back over to the, oop, I did not mean to do that. Go back to here. Yeah, this is a photo that we had from earlier today of the snow over in Duluth. So again, it gives you a general idea of what we've already seen. This is just from a little bit of snow. I mean, these were just a couple of snow showers, and it looks like a winter wonderland out there. Trees are nicely covered over. Again, I haven't seen snow in like 5 years, so it's kind of crazy to look at this. But yeah, definitely pretty nice so far. I mean, this is what you would probably want if you like snow and you don't, you like snow to a certain extent, just like, minimal snow amounts. This is what you're looking for. Like Duluth, for example. Again, this is about 1, maybe 2 inches of snow that fell, and it looks pretty beautiful out there. So again, this is from the roadways earlier today as well in your Duluth, and it gives you, again, a general idea of what we've been seeing out there in terms of snow already. And again, this is nothing compared to what we're going to see tomorrow across areas like the Upper Michigan Peninsula. So it is quite remarkable looking at these photos. Also back over to the one of the other highways as well. This is from actually earlier this morning. Again, snow has already fallen there, and we've actually pretty much seen, again, a lot of snow out there so far over in Minnesota. But again, Minnesota is only the beginning of this. We'll see more snow again come over the next few hours as, again, temperatures drop. Again, temperatures are dropping right now, and we'll begin to see more and more snow kind of fill in. Again, we're already beginning to see a little bit of moderate snow just northwest of Iron River. So if you're anywhere just northwest of Iron River, you might already be beginning to see some snow out there. It'll close if it's considered a blizzard. Okay. It isn't bad enough? Yeah, I don't know what they consider bad, and I know in Texas they would close school for like an inch. I've had experience with that, but I know in like areas like Michigan and whatnot, it's probably much different. New England was typically at least 6 to 8 inches of snow. It would be closed, or like an ice storm or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what the differences are there across the board. It's kind of funny though. They do not, Julia. Actually, maybe they do. Let me check for you. I was trying to get some cameras for tonight, but I wasn't able to find any that actually like are live, but I'll take a look. We actually do have a few, it looks like, that have at least a little bit of snow on the roadways. Let me see if we have any that are in the Michigan Peninsula. Now, the only area that would probably have been seeing snow so far would probably be here near Iron River. We're already beginning to see some snowfall here. So I would say that this is probably the only area, but it looks like it's pitch black on the camera there. So that would not be very useful. Look and see if we have anything. Yeah, it seems like most of these are basically pitch black, so won't probably be able to see anything out there. But I know we have some people in these areas, so if I see any photos, if you have any photos, by the way, when you're in these areas, you've already seen some snow, feel free to send those in on Twitter. Taking a look at that, but yeah, it doesn't look like we're seeing much. This is the only, basically, camera that we have. Just shows the rain. I mean, I'm not even going to show it. It just basically shows some rain. That's actually, we have a camera back up here southwest of Houston, and it's actually showing a little bit of rain. Which, again, this is an area that we're seeing rain right now. We're already beginning to see the transition, though, from rain to snow back over here near Highway 2 and Highway 45 near Iron River. So, we're seeing right now out there. All right. Yeah, it's kind of late. That's a problem. Like, whenever I do these late live streams, we typically don't have a whole lot of camera views, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to be able to, you know, show what's actually happening out there. But, yeah, I mean, the only area that we would ever see anything is typically during the daytime, or if there's street lights and stuff like that. With Hurricane Ian, when I covered that, we had a lot of cameras that were in, like, populated areas right along the beaches and whatnot, so there's a lot of areas to be able to see stuff. But again, if you're over in Minnesota, we're still seeing some snow there. I don't expect it to last too much longer tonight. There's actually some bands up here to the north as well. We're actually seeing some, it looks like a little bit of lake effect snow up here, which is kind of interesting. Back up in Canada, kind of see that little stretch there, so we're already beginning to see that. We're also seeing a little bit of snow along the coastline, also northeast of Silver Bay. Back over here, closer to Hibbing, as well as Babbitt and Ellie, Silver Bay, all those areas. Again, a few snow showers passing by. Not going to accumulate to much tonight, but we might see upwards of 1 to 2 inches. If you're lucky tonight, again, we've already seen upwards of 3 inches in some of those areas. Again, most of our snow currently that's already begun is near Iron River, so that's what we're expecting as of right now. Let me go back over to the snow accumulations. We'll put it back on this map. Again, for those that are curious in terms of what you can expect overall in terms of snow accumulations, we'll kind of pinpoint some areas for tonight, or not tonight, excuse me, for the next 48 to 72 hours. This is the current estimate on where we might see the highest snowfall totals. So again, give or take a few inches on these, because again, it will range a little bit overall, but probably at least see some snow across these areas. Let me go a bit further east. We actually have a couple areas in Michigan real quick I can kind of pinpoint. I haven't really shown these areas, but near Cadillac, for example, between 1 to 3 inches is possible. Areas near the I don't even know how to say the name. Lake Park State Park, though, those areas can be between 1 to 3 inches. And again, Traverse City is not really expected to see much there. Maybe just a few flurries. But back over here into areas like the Upper Michigan Peninsula. Again, this area is going to be really the most probably known area to see snow with this entire event. It's going to be primarily between Marquette as well as Lance. So those areas will see the highest snowfall totals along Highway 41. So yeah, this is going to be a big little storm that we're going to see here over the next couple of days. Portland, Oregon, get any storms or any snow? No. Portland, Oregon is not going to probably see any snow for at least the next, I would say, week or so. Most likely, unless you're in higher elevations. How far south is the snow expected? This is the current forecast. I've already kind of mentioned this, though. It could go further south. This is the 75th percentile, which I think, this is really an overestimate, but this is an area that we could see maybe a coating up to an inch in, possibly off to the north of Milwaukee, maybe near Green Bay. These areas could see a little bit more snow. It's possible, but basically between a coating to an inch, if you're lucky tomorrow morning, that'd basically be the only chance. Let me go over to, let's turn this off. Let's go back over to here. I'll go back over to the map and show you kind of what we're looking at there. So here, do this. So this is the current forecast for basically the northern Michigan Peninsula. So again, we could possibly see that little coating of snow possibly dip down as far south as areas near Milwaukee. It'll probably just stay north of there, but that's the furthest south this snow will go, at least in Wisconsin and Michigan. Now, on the other hand, we could see snow. Let me go over to this screen. We could see snow actually go as far south as areas like Indiana. So those in Fort Wayne, South Bend, and Portage could actually see maybe around a coating of snow. It's not out of the question. Obviously, this is pretty far south, but we might see around a little coating maybe of snow down that direction. I'll take a look in a minute. Okay. And back over in Ohio as well, we could possibly see between a coating, maybe up to an inch of snow in some areas there as well. Again, Michigan is the area that we could see as well, between 1 to 3 inches in the lower peninsula. So areas just south of Traverse City, north of Mount Pleasant, again, between about a coating to maybe 3 inches, and the highest elevation as well as the highest accumulations possibly could get upwards of 3 inches. But overall, the temperatures will be warmer down to the south, so the overall chances of those snow accumulation being higher is quite low. And also the temperatures, by the way, going into Tuesday morning is going to be frigid across Wisconsin. So I'll have to prepare for that as well. Traverse City. Is that actually Traverse City? Hey. Thank you. Somebody else said it this morning. It was like Traverse City. I was like, okay. I thought I said that, but okay. Traverse City. Thank you. Hey, Sandra. How you doing? Welcome back. He's wrong. I'm aware I've been wrong. Guys, I'm not going to pronounce every name right. Trust me. I'm not from Wisconsin. I'm not from Michigan. So I do apologize if I pronounce any names wrong. If you want to, though, feel free to correct me. I'm not opposed to it by any means. I would rather be corrected than to be right, because I don't want to say a name that's completely off. Traverse City? You just... Let me look this up real quick. Sure. If I can find an actual pronunciation. Traverse City. Traverse City. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, snow is obviously better than ice being on the roads. Yeah. We're not going to see any ice out of this. The freezing rain, I mean, we could look at it real quick if you wanted to, but we're not going to see any freezing rain out of this. This is the freezing rain that's being estimated by computer models. Nothing at all. It's going to be more of a snow event. Again, this is going to be a lot of lake effect snow. So again, this is the current estimate of what we could see in terms of snowfall totals. Yeah, we might see upwards of possibly half a foot to a foot near Ironwood. That's an area that we will probably see about major to extreme impacts. So again, travel will be potentially very dangerous, if not very impossible to do, with very low visibility as well. Again, west of Marquette, for example, snowfall totals could get upwards of 2 feet. So Marquette specifically, right on the coast there, probably will not see much of anything. Maybe between 0 to 4 inches. Peak snowfall would be like 6 inches of snow there. I mean, it's right along the Great Lakes, so wouldn't expect too much there in terms of snowfall totals for right now. But again, this is the official map, so we'll put it back over to this so you can actually see it. But again, if you're in Wisconsin, this can again give you a good idea of what we can expect again across this region. So again, back closer to areas like Sturgeon Bay, again Green Bay, possibly going to see maybe upwards of an inch of snow. Back up to the north, again, the further north you go and further inland you go as well, back up in the upper Michigan Peninsula, the higher the snowfall totals will be. So again, Ironwood, for example, probably going to see more like somewhere between 6 to 12 inches. Again, this is really the snowfall totals that's at least being currently forecasted across areas in the upper Michigan Peninsula. And you can actually see back down near Gaylord for those up in the, or down in the lower Michigan Peninsula, some areas down that direction could also see upwards of 3 inches of snow. So I'll be watching that closely. But for right now, again, we're just beginning to see that transition. Snow is really going to be beginning tonight. It's going to really transition this into the overnight hours. We'll begin to probably see a lot more snow, though, during tomorrow. So the lake effect snow will become much more prominent tomorrow than in comparison to tonight. But we will definitely, again, possibly see upwards of a foot by as early as, you know, late, pretty much mid tomorrow. I mean, we could possibly see up to a half a foot to a foot of snow, possibly just north of Republic by as early as tomorrow night. So it's going to come quick. Also, here's a look at the impacts. So if you're traveling tomorrow, if you have any plans to, I don't recommend it. Obviously, for those that live up here, you might be used to it. But for those in Covington, between Covington as well as Marquette, those areas could, again, see extreme impacts. Again, along Highway 41 is that region that I expect the highest impacts to be dealt to. Ironwood as well, that downtown area could very well see upwards of extreme impacts as well. Again, that's the current forecast over there. So again, expect substantial impacts there. Visibility down near 0. Blowing snow is also possible. So it'll definitely be a very dangerous travel if you do plan on it tomorrow. And thank you, Skylark, for the $5 super chat. It's going. I do have a break coming up for a few days, so that'll be nice. I'll be actually taking a little trip this upcoming weekend, so I'll be taking a break from all the for those that are curious, I've been doing a lot of midterms recently, so the hope is that after this upcoming one on Tuesday, that I won't have to deal with too much stress on those, because I have a Calc 2 one on Tuesday, so that will be pretty difficult most likely. But after Tuesday, I'll be at least being able to relax a little bit more, or at least a week. And we'll see what happens after that. But Also, if you have any questions, by the way, feel free to let me know in the chat. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button again. If you're new already, make sure to hit the like button as well. I would appreciate it. Up in Ann Arbor myself. Does anybody actually live, by the way, in the Upper Michigan Peninsula? Like, does anybody live up that direction? I'm kind of curious because I know that area is going to see the highest snowfall totals. So I'm curious to see how many people in chat might actually be from that area. All right, let's go back over to the live radar for right now. Let's stay on this for now. Let me go back over to here and change it back over. There we go. You do, and you're excited for snow. I know some people have mixed opinions on snow. Obviously, the further we get into a winter season, or even, even possibly sometimes in the fall, people get more and more sick of the snow. The first time, though, is always the best time to see snow. It always has been. For me, at least, it has been. So, if you're in the Upper Michigan Peninsula, you might get a little bit excited for this one, but as we continue throughout the winter season, it's going to get a little bit more repetitive, I would say. Eastern Nebraska could see its first snowfall. I don't have an ETA on that. I mean, realistically, it's probably going to be sometime in November. Possibly December, but it's late. November is probably the best chance for it. I can't answer specific questions on when you'll see snow unless it's associated with this event. I know there's a lot of people that go on based off of climatology and stuff. But realistically, if we're talking about the next 10 days, there's not much really forecasted for areas outside of basically, I'll kind of outline the region that might see snow. Let me take off the temperatures real quick. I can figure out how to do that. There we go. So basically the only areas that might see snow, and this is a might, it's not gonna be this entire area, but you might see snow basically, or you probably will, at least up here, obviously. But you might see snow back down through here in the next 7 to 10 days. It's possible. Outside of that, though, I mean, there's really nothing really expected, at least in the next 10 days. And I really won't ever base my forecast strictly off of climatology in terms of, when you can expect snow. Like, people give the average date and whatnot, but, I mean, there's not really an actual way to do that long term. It's pretty difficult to do that unless there's some actual event coming pretty soon, which is, again, something that's a bit more long term. Ben in Virginia? No. Ben, I just answered you, no. Not in Virginia. You have a family in Houghton and they love the cold and snow. Yeah, I mean, I would assume you love the cold and snow if you live anywhere up here in the north, because I'll be honest with you, I could never deal with the amount of snow that happens up this direction, especially in Wisconsin and, again, Michigan, Minnesota. Those areas always see so much snow. Let me go over to this. Yeah, those areas, again, always see a lot of snow, so yeah, it's not fun. Let's go over the forecast again real quick. For those that might be just tuning in, I'm going to kind of go over it again. Because, again, this stream is more of a discussion. But, again, if you have any questions, I'll actually post something in chat. I think I can actually make it so that people can actually ask questions and I can actually see them easier. So I'll try that here in a minute. But let's kind of go back through the forecast real quick. So, again, we have winter storm warnings in effect for those up in the Upper Michigan Peninsula. So the western part of that, that's going to be the pink boxes up there. We also have a couple of winter weather advisories in effect for those. That's about 5 counties. So, again, the Upper Michigan Peninsula as well as areas in northern Wisconsin in that. We also have winter storm watches in effect for the central areas of that Upper Michigan Peninsula as well. We have freeze warnings in effect for southeastern portions of Wisconsin as well. And any of these purple boxes down here to the south, not really related to the ongoing snow event. And obviously the cold front with that trough is what's bringing this, but we have freeze warnings in effect for all these areas across areas like Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, goes all the way back down into Tennessee. I'll show you more on that here in a second. Again, let's go back into the timing though for tonight. We'll begin to again see that transition overnight tonight across areas like Market, as well as areas near Republic. Houghton will probably start to see a little bit of snow overnight tonight. Again, lake effect snow is most likely going to occur overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. We'll probably still see that on go for a long time tomorrow. It will really start ramping up again tomorrow evening into the overnight hours into Tuesday morning. That's when we'll probably see the highest snow accumulations. Will probably be tomorrow night into Tuesday morning, eventually heading into Tuesday morning into the afternoon hours. The lake effect snow continues, especially across areas west of Marquette, and eventually going into Tuesday evening, it will probably start to dry out a little bit across those areas. Going over to the snow, let me go over to the future radar here in Wisconsin real quick. So here's a look at the future radar across Wisconsin. So we'll begin to see possibly a few snow showers overnight tonight. Maybe go as far south as areas like West Bend, so just north of Milwaukee. May actually see a couple of snowflakes out there. Again, the current forecast along anywhere near Green Bay and Milwaukee is basically going to be somewhere between probably 0 inches for most of you, but you might see between a coating to an inch if you're lucky with any of those snow bands overnight tonight. Going into tomorrow morning into the early afternoon hours, we'll continue to see snow primarily in northern Wisconsin, with maybe an isolated flurry or two closer to southern Wisconsin, but again, not much accumulation is expected there. Going into tomorrow evening, we'll again probably see this area dry out, and then into the overnight hours, we'll still see that snow ongoing the upper Michigan Peninsula, but we're not going to really see much of anything across areas like Wisconsin other than maybe just a couple of passing flurries on Tuesday. So things will definitely start to change there. Over to the snow accumulation, I've kind of showed this graphic a few times, but this is what we're currently at least forecasting from the National Weather Service, and again, up to an inch of snow is possible right along the coastline. So areas like Green Bay, Sister Bay, Sturgeon Bay, all those areas along the Great Lakes could possibly see upwards of an inch. Back up to the north, the further north you go, the better chance you have of accumulative snow. So, as well as higher accumulations expected up that direction. So again, far northern Wisconsin, so areas like Ironwood could possibly see upwards of 6 to 12 inches of snow. Once you get closer to areas like the upper Michigan Peninsula, we start to ramp up snow totals substantially, specifically in areas like Ironwood. So anywhere along the stretch here, a little bit further inland, that's where we're going to see possibly between 6 to 10 inches of snow. Capped off around about a foot possibly, but back closer just north of Republic, this is the area that's currently forecasted that could actually get upwards of 24 to maybe as high as 30 inches of snow in a very isolated area north of Highway 41. It's a very small area. I don't think there's much of anybody living there, but that is a very small area there just east of Lance that could possibly see upwards of 24 to 30 inches of snow. So pretty substantial snow for sure. The overall impacts coming out of this, again, extreme impacts are expected near Covington, west of Marquette as well, and Ironwood also in that extreme impact category. So that means basically that travel's not advised, extremely dangerous or impossible driving conditions are expected across these areas. We also could see power outages really start to ramp up across those areas tomorrow as well. Again, this is wet snow, so wet snow tends to accumulate quicker, and it can also sometimes cause power outages along with that. The current forecast from the basically National Weather Service in terms of snow is basically, this is kind of the estimate. So Ironwood is currently estimated to be 9 inches. You again could see maybe a little bit higher than that. West of Marquette is also possibly going to see upwards of, I mean, it really varies, but again, the current town or city of Marquette is only seeing potentially between 0 to 4 inches. But if you go like 10 to 20 miles west, you're going to possibly see upwards of 20 to 30 inches of snow. So it's a massive difference across the board. This is also another look at that. Let's go back over to Indiana. Not really a whole lot's expected here. Southwest Michigan, Northeast Indiana, maybe up to a coating. Not much else is expected beyond that. Over to areas like Ohio, Northeast Ohio, specifically near Cleveland, just south of there, possibly around a coating, maybe upwards of an inch if you're over in Pennsylvania. Also the lower Michigan Peninsula, so areas just south of trying to say this one right this time. Travis City, I can't remember. Just south of there, possibly between 1 to 3 inches of snow. Just east of there as well, any of these light to kind of middle ground blue colors are representing somewhere between about 1 to 3 inches. Maybe an isolated spot between 3 to 4 inches. I can't rule that out, but it seems like a pretty low chance as of right now we'll get too far beyond there. And if we do get beyond there, it's going to be pretty, isolated amounts anyways. Timing for those up in the northern Ohio Valley as well as the southern Midwest. Again, possibly some snow going into Tuesday overnight Monday into Tuesday morning, but again, accumulation's not really expected there. Also back over in Ohio, same story over that direction, just a couple of flurries possible over there. Our trough again going to Monday. Let's kind of refresh this so it doesn't lag out a little bit, but this is going to late Monday. We'll possibly see a few snow flurries in western Pennsylvania and southwest New York, possibly northeast Ohio. Again, not really anything too crazy is expected there, but we might see a few flurries out there, possibly up to an inch or two is possible as well. This is the current forecast. This is the latest forecast from the National Weather Service, indicating between a coating to a lucky spot, maybe seeing between 1 to 2 inches of snow, and that would probably be southeast of Erie. Jamestown is currently forecasted to see around a coating. Grove City around a coating to a half an inch, and then St. Mary's possibly a coating if you're lucky that far to the east. I've had people ask Philadelphia, are we going to see anything? Wilmington, are we going to see anything? No, that far east is not going to see any snow out of this. So if you're looking forward to some early snow, it's not coming your direction. Also, temperatures Tuesday morning are going to be very cold out there. Wind chills will be down into the single digits for some areas, and teens across Wisconsin. But the big thing is our low temperatures going to dive into the 20s, possibly the teens in Minnesota as well. So it'll be very cold on Tuesday. Again, this is well below average for this time of the year across those areas. Also, the cold blast is not done yet. By Wednesday morning, we'll have below freezing temperatures dive potentially as far south and east as areas like Alabama, Mississippi, could even get into the peninsula of Florida. So that'd be pretty crazy if that does end up happening. But the latest forecast, at least as of now, currently putting these areas below freezing temperatures. And in addition to that, we do have our winter, basically our freeze watches and warnings in effect. We actually do have a new freeze watch that has been issued for northern areas of Mississippi. That has just been issued, actually, by the National Weather Service down that direction. So there's now a freeze watch there. But in addition to that, all freeze warnings across a large area of the Ohio Valley, southern Midwest, all the way back through the Central Plains. And actually more recently, Oklahoma has now been added into a freeze watch as well. Northeast Oklahoma in a freeze warning. That may get extended further down to the south, this freeze watch into maybe North Texas. So just keep that in mind. Thought I'd mention that just for those that might be in that area. Going into the future, we're going to have some big differences obviously coming. Big cold blast for the next few days across areas in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, back through the East Coast. We'll probably see a lot more cold air for at least the next 3 to 4 days. That'll start to kind of fizzle out going to Wednesday and Thursday. By late week, we'll have a big area of warmer weather start to return. So areas like the Midwest will start warming back up into the 50s, 60s. Can't a couple low 70s, so it'll be a big difference there. So that snow back up in the upper Michigan Peninsula probably will not last past Friday or Saturday. We'll probably see that melt off pretty quick. But going to the upcoming weekend, we may start to see a trough develop back over the northern United States. Now, if this does happen, we could possibly see some severe weather start to take place. It'd probably be from Texas back maybe through the Ohio Valley, but we'll have to watch that closely. Too early to tell specifics on that, but it's something to monitor because we might see our next big trough maybe bring some severe weather. Again, severe weather season, our second severe weather season does begin here pretty soon. If you're curious on what the watches, warnings, and whatnot mean, this is just kind of a general criteria typically for what a winter storm watch, a winter weather advisory, or even a winter storm warning are. So if you have any questions on that, that will be on your screen there. And also in addition to that, we have a few snow photos I'll show you in here in a second, but make sure to take a screenshot if you've not already, if you have any questions on that. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the chat. I'll kind of be getting to some of those. And also make sure to hit the like button and subscribe down below. Again, we'll be keeping you updated with the latest throughout the winter season. Anything that you need to know about winter storms. But I'll be answering some questions here for at least the next, let's see, next 15 to 20 minutes. So, and then from there, I'll probably at least get some rest for tomorrow. If it happens. I think I can actually do this. So, ask me any questions you have. All right, so I can actually start a Q&A. So, there we go. So if you have any questions, feel free to do that. You can actually ask a question in the chat. So if you have a specific question, that'll be the easiest way for me to see them. So I'll look at that here in a second. Let's go over to the snow that we've already seen, by the way. This is, again, a photo that we had sent in over in Minnesota this morning over in Duluth. Again, we've seen some pretty substantial snow already over there. Only about 1 to 2 inches, but it looks pretty nice there. Winter Wonderland has already begun. Thank you, by the way, Carolyn, for subscribing. We're only 4 subscribers right now, away from 24,600. So if you've not already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. All right, let's go back over to here. And let's go to screen. Put it on this screen for now. All right, let's see if I can answer some questions here. Used to live by Duluth? I've never been, I don't think I've ever been to Michigan. Or not Michigan, I mean Minnesota. I don't think I've ever been there. All right, let me see what questions everybody has. Let's see. What's Iowa looking like? Iowa's going to be cold. You're not going to see any snow, but you'll be cold down here. Current temperatures, let me put on the map here. Current temperatures are like the 30s and maybe 40s right now. But it's going to get cold here. I know the wind chills, I think either Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, are going to dive down into the single digits in some areas. So it's going to get cold. Right now in the 30s, but it's going to get cold there. So just expect that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to get cold. Yeah, if you're in Iowa, brace for the cold weather. That's all I got to say. Am I ready for Tuesday? What's on Tuesday, Julia? Oh, the test? Should be fine. Hopefully I'll be fine. It's a lot of Calc 2 stuff, and I actually have not studied too much for it yet. Tomorrow's going to be a big study day, so I don't plan on a live stream most likely, but we'll see what happens. GFSML showing Alaska's in for a bad time. I'll take a quick look. We actually have a new severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, for Brewster County, Texas. We're not covering severe weather tonight, but thought I'd mention it. Yeah, it looks like kind of typical for this time of the year, honestly. Okay. Typically, they see those systems around this time of the year. Southwest Missouri this winter, snowfall. I'm not going to give any climatology sort of answer any questions based on climatology long term, because I'm not, again, saying how many inches a place is going to see is just so kind of crazy, because, you know, areas like, okay, I'll kind of point out an example here, but Boston, for example, Boston, Massachusetts, they range every year. I mean, some years they see 20 inches, sometimes they see 100 inches. I mean, it just ranges across the board overall for the entire season. So, I mean, giving you an actual estimate is just, it's basically like putting a lottery ball down a machine and seeing what you get. That's basically what it is. So anybody that posts about, you know, what you can expect, I mean, if it's like an average of what you might see or whatever, that's fine. But, you know, when we try to get to specific totals and stuff, it's just out of whack. So I do, Julie. I do. I should be fine for that. Yeah, I do have a midterm for the meteorology as well. See how that goes. Yeah, if you have questions, ask in the Q&A box. I'll be answering questions through that. Easier to do through that. It's gonna be above or below average. I don't know. Probably a little bit below. Probably say a little bit below average, most likely. I do not see H tonight. No, I don't have any snow cams up tonight. Again, this stream was more for just discussion purposes. It wasn't really to pinpoint anything that's right now ongoing. Because again, we're only beginning. Tomorrow will be more interesting. I don't plan on a live stream tomorrow night because I have an exam Tuesday morning. But if I were to go live tomorrow night, I would definitely have a few live cams because, again, we would have a lot more of a view of what's actually happening out there. Right now, we haven't really seen a whole lot. I mean, we may have seen a couple of inches here near Iron River so far. I know back over near Duluth, for example, that area has already seen upwards of 2 to 3 inches just from a few snow showers from today. And but this area is, again, the main area of interest in terms of the lake effect snow that we're probably going to see across this region. So watching that pretty closely. Thanks, CH. See what happens. Yeah, this is a pretty big snow event. I mean, obviously it's a winter storm. It's a pretty big winter storm though for this early in the year. I mean, pretty big one. Again, it's a very small area that we're going to see 2 to 3 feet possibly of snow. But and again, if you're just tuning in, the main area of snow is going to be right here. That is where we could possibly see a jackpot of snow, as you might want to call it. Between possibly 2 to 3 feet of snow is possible there. Reasonably, though, we can probably at least expect upwards of 16 to 22 inches of snow. Maybe a little bit higher, though, is possible. Some computer models are estimating upwards of 3 feet. So, but outside of there, it kind of just drops off depending on where you're at. I mean, we could still see upwards of a foot. As far west as areas like Iron River could possibly see as well as a few inches as well. So it's kind of just varies across the board. But hey, Rainbow, how you doing? Welcome back. Indians are jealous. Snow early. Got some early snow. Thanks, Kathleen. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll get 100% on the broadcast meteorology exam. Don't worry, I'll be fine. That one's easy. The Calc 2 is, on the other hand, Calculus 2 is a whole different story. See how that goes. See how that goes. I have an auto tweet on Twitter, so whenever I go live, it says we're covering severe weather. I'm not even covering severe weather. I'll have to fix that. All right. No problem, Rainbow. Thanks, Star. I appreciate it. Let me go back over to the questions tab real quick. We'll see if we have any new questions coming in here. I don't. Cool. Yeah, if you have any questions, again, put that in the Q&A tab. Just to make it easier. I'll answer questions for the next few minutes, and then after that, I'll go back and study. Here real quick. By the way, thank you for everybody watching the forecast today. Today's forecast is the most viewed forecast I've had in like 2 months. I'm surprised. You know, today's forecast, I didn't put as much effort as I typically do into it because I was mainly only going to study today. So, but I didn't make my intro as usual, and it kind of felt a little bit rushed. But I was not expecting to have so many people watch that one today. That's like 8,000 views, I think, now. Niles, Michigan. Let me look that one up for you real quick. Niles, Michigan. Possibly a coating in that area. That'd be about it. If you're lucky. If you're lucky, you'll get a coating. If you're not lucky, then you won't get a coating. Gotta put it that way. Thanks, Rainbow. Appreciate it. No problem, Heidi. No problem at all. Alrighty, back over to Twitter real quick. I'm gonna see if we have any other snow photos coming in real quick. Not sure if we've had any new photos coming out of snow. We have a report. Some light snow has been reported over at the... I forget where this is. Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is in Canada, but apparently there's been some light snow reported there. Yeah, we're already seeing some light snow here near Iron River. This is the initial snow that we've begun to see. Let's go over to the high-def radar real quick. And near Iron River, kind of pinpoint it here. Yeah, this is the snow that we're beginning to see in Iron River. I'll kind of put in a loop here, if I can. It is definitely a bit more moderate, though, right here. You also have a little bit of light snow beginning, actually, to transition a little bit further off to the north, up here near Highway 28, and as well as Highway 41. That area is also beginning to see a little bit of snow now. So, if I can try to put this in a bit more of a loop here, but yeah, some snow's beginning. Again, we're starting to see more of a transition northwest of Iron River, but a little bit along Highway 41 as well. So, a couple of areas that we're beginning to see more of a snow transition right now. Would you go to Antarctica if you have if an opportunity comes your way? No, I probably wouldn't. I can barely get through 40-degree weather. There's just no way I'm gonna get to negative whatever weather it is down that direction. I mean, like literally, I can barely get through 40 degrees at night. Like I literally would need to bundle up so much. It's not even funny. I'm used to the south now, so yeah. This is again our first snow that we're beginning to see. Pretty slow moving. I don't know if I can put the track on this. Let me see. At least a good little test stream anyways for this upcoming winter season. I plan on doing more of these streams. Obviously, this is just more of a discussion one. It wasn't really supposed to be a action-packed one. We don't have a whole lot of... We don't have live cams or anything tonight, but I think in the future, obviously, I'll probably add those things in. No, I would not survive Canada, no. Yeah, Florida is warm, yes. Used to Florida weather now. Begun to change in terms of my feeling for weather. All right, let's see if we have any new questions coming in. I like the new questions tab that YouTube actually added in. It's pretty cool. Will the expected hard freeze be very impactful? I don't think it's a hard freeze, King Cheese, but it's at least I know it's a freeze. I think it's a freeze warning in Southwest Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think it's a hard freeze. But regardless, I mean, just make sure you're protecting pipes, pets, people, that sort of thing. Or I don't know what the saying is. I think it's pipes and pets and something else. But make sure our plants, that's what it is. But yeah, make sure you are preparing ahead of time. Make sure you do the right thing with your sensitive vegetation. Make sure you're protecting that. Pipes as well. And as well as pets. Pets is a big one. People sometimes, for whatever reason, forget about pets. So. Okay, that's not really possible. I explained the live radar colors. Yeah, so this is the first time that I've actually used a radar like this. For those that are even within the last like 4 to 5 months have been subscribed. These are different colors. So the green's indicating rain. The purple or like the pink color, it's kind of glitchy. It's not very good on this radar for some reason, but it basically indicates a bit more of a mix. And I would expect a bit more of a mix a little bit up here as well, but it doesn't show that. But just snow is typically this like white and blue color. So when we're in these white colors here, it's typically light snow. Once we start to see a little bit more of these blues and maybe sometimes darker blues, that's moderate to heavy snow. So we've pretty much right now at the moderate stage, light to moderate right now, north of Highway 2, northwest of Iron River. So Brady, there's not, and unfortunately, there's a few, but like they don't update correctly. So unfortunately, there's really no cameras in, specifically at least in Michigan, that I can really show. If there were, I'd obviously be showing them, but and it's dark time too, or nighttime. I say dark time, that's not a thing. Nighttime. So even if we did have any cameras, I mean, it would have to be in a city. And the areas that are expecting the most snow are not really in cities. I mean, North Republic along Highway 41 is really the jackpot again. Ironwood is really the only, I would quote unquote call it a city, that is going to possibly see some accumulative snow above half a foot. Other than that, I mean, Houghton's kind of a toss-up. I mean, that area might see between maybe 2 to 3 inches. They could also see upwards of a foot. I mean, it's such a wide range since it's, again, lake effect snow for the most part. So Iron River also possibly going to see some snow, but they won't see much more beyond a half a foot most likely. So yeah, it all kind of ranges, but I know Marquette, for example, that region right along the coast, not going to see much of anything between 0 to 5 inches. But again, if you go like here, it's going to be between 24 to 36 possibly, or not 36, probably between 18 to 24 inches. I'll keep saying that range. I know that they are forecasting the possibility for it to get upwards of 24 to 30 inches, but a bit of a question mark right now. Ohio will not see any snow other than far northeast Ohio. You may see a very small coating you're in far northeastern Ohio, but it should be warm enough to prevent most accumulation, if any. But again, coating would be about it for that area. Yeah, if we actually go over to the let's go over to the wide view here. This is a look at the entire United States. So let me point out some features here. Let's go over to the fronts. Let's put on the centers. So this is kind of some of the features that we're seeing. So again, this is where the winter storm is going to take place. It's going to take place way back up here into the upper Midwest. Then back over into the mid-Atlantic region, we're still actually seeing some showers and storms over that direction. And we got our cold frontal boundary that's bringing some colder air. We got our next cold blast coming through as well. Again, we just have so many cold fronts associated with this trough that keeps redeveloping and recycling back up in Canada that's been bringing these showers and storms. That's what brought the severe weather to the southeast, and it's also going to brought severe weather to the southern plains yesterday. We're also seeing a little bit of severe weather today back in Texas. There's also some showers back in New Mexico, but really this is our main system. It's going to be back up here. We have some showers over here. Colder weather. Let me kind of zoom back in over here. Well, basically what we have here is our, again, low pressure system. It's currently located probably right about here, give or take a few miles and whatnot. But back up here in Canada, here is what's coming from behind. That is your colder air, and as well as even some snow flurries and a little bit of some snow showers up in northeast Minnesota. That'll eventually all translate into lake effect snow tomorrow, going into areas in the upper Michigan Peninsula. Then we got some showers coming around like this. Might see a couple of snow showers as well down in this direction, but gives you a general idea of what's happening. We also got some rain back down in the areas like Lake Erie region is also seeing some of those some of those showers, excuse me. So, and high pressure dominates the rest of the United States. And this is a look at the water vapor imagery. Turn on that. This is the water vapor imagery. Let me turn off the radar real quick. Let me see if I can put this in a loop. Seem like it wants to go in a loop, but this is the current look at the water vapor imagery. So again, we pretty much have our really drier air is typically over here. I'm not sure. I think this is right, but all of our humid air is still ongoing. We have a lot of water vapor down southwest of Dallas. So central Texas has a lot of the storm activity right now, so you can actually see the much darker greens and blues. That's representing higher water vapor. Overall, drier air behind that low pressure system, but we're still seeing a couple of exceptions with the couple of snow showers that we have. Dew points are somewhat low, but we're still being able to see a couple of snow showers back up north of Duluth. But again, it's pretty light snow right now, so nothing too crazy. All right, let's go back over to here. For some reason, I can't get the water vapor to animate, though, but wish I could. Yeah, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We'll be keeping up to date with the latest on this winter storm as it continues to really evolve over the next 24 hours. And make sure to hit the like button as well. Also, if you're in the chat and you have Discord, make sure to join our Discord server. I'll put the link in the chat. Nightbot will have the link, but if you have not already, make sure to join our Discord. Clay, that area, Houghton is going to possibly see somewhere between, it's a pretty wide range. I think the official forecast is somewhere between like 4 to like 8 inches. It was a wider range than that, but current forecast would probably be about 4 to 6 inches or so. You could get a little bit higher than that, though. Have a great night, King. Appreciate you tuning in. No problem, Clay. Let's see if we have any other questions in the Q&A. Well, North Alabama see any severe weather ahead of the cold front? No, not with this, Alicia. The only thing that we'd ever see out of the cold front for you would just be the possibility for maybe some, the below average, basically the below freezing temperature. So you might see some frost, but other than that, I wouldn't expect much. All right, let's see if I missed anything else while I was talking there. Like I did. Hopefully. I'll take a look at that aisle later. Take a look at that. Hey, no problem, Mo. Appreciate you tuning in. No problem at all. All right, any last questions? If you have any last questions, feel free to let me know. Give it a couple more minutes. When do you think Georgia's going to start seeing snow? I'm not going over climatology. Again, you might see snow next month. You could see it in January. You might never see it. You never know. Yeah, I'm not going for climatology, though. It's not really the thing that I like doing. I don't like doing long-term forecasts because they're typically not accurate really ever. So there's an average when you first begin to see snow and whatnot, but that's really all you can base stuff off of is the average. Not going to go wild with a forecast, though. I remember trick-or-treating in snow every year. Yeah, that's a big. I remember those days when I would have to trick-or-treat when there was snow on the ground. Those were the days. And the days when snowstorms would cancel Halloween was also a thing. Yeah, but Georgia and snow. I don't think it really snows that often in Georgia. Yeah, map here. Georgia, I mean, if you're like northern or central Georgia, that's like the only area that actually maybe sees some snow. It's typically in December. Like going based off of climatology, if you ever see snow in Georgia, it's gonna be in northern Georgia, and you might see upwards of, sometime typically after December. But typically, by the way, up here in the Upper Michigan Peninsula, the first snow typically happens between November 1st to 15th, just based off of climatology. So we are a little bit early here. It depends on where you are, though. It's between October 1st to 31st, like west of Lance, east of Ironwood. But if you go into like the central portions of the peninsula, near Newberry, for example, those areas are typically seeing their first snow in early to mid November. So we are seeing some snow early there. But it all varies. I mean, again, it's always different. It's never the same every year. Oh. Will North Texas see frost before the 26th? Depends on where you are in North Texas. You might see some snow, or you might see some frost, excuse me. If you're like far North Texas, you might. If you're like in, I don't know, Waco, Texas, for example, you won't. So, thank you, by the way, Miles and Mary for subscribing. I appreciate it. Avoiding mailboxes when you were sledding. That's interesting. Thanks, Ben. Have a great night. All right, let me make sure I didn't have any other questions here. Any activity for Wyoming and Colorado these next few days? Not much. I don't think, at least. I haven't really looked too far. I haven't really looked over there that much. Pretty sure it's gonna be a little bit drier over the next at least few days. Overall, most of the United States will be drier overall for the early to midweek. But yeah, that area is going to be dominated by high pressure. There's a possibility going this upcoming weekend that snow may start to, we might actually get a little snowstorm going into next weekend. Possibly across Wyoming, Montana, and maybe Colorado. So we'll watch that closely. There might also be some severe weather in the southern plains. I'm monitoring that potential too pretty closely next week. Late next week. So a couple of things to watch. It's long term. We don't really have anything over the next 7 days other than this winter storm. But beyond then, maybe, or really next 5 days, I should say. But next weekend into early next week, it might begin to start to get more active. So we'll be covering it pretty closely. Any severe weather will obviously pretty much always be live for. And yeah, I'll be keeping a close eye on all that. Because again, long term, there's definitely some signs that we'll begin to see more of an active pattern start to come back into play. So I'll be watching that again very closely. Excited to see some rocky snow. There you go. Yeah, the white color represents snow. That's currently near Iron River right now. So it has transitioned there. All right. Yeah, the computer models in the long term, it shows, you know, like a snowstorm going to like next weekend. It's too early to forecast that though this far out. I mean, it's possible, but we need to really reasonably be within about 3 to 4 days to, you know, be able to forecast that. Once you go beyond there, right, at least right now with our technology, there's just not really a way to be able to pinpoint and forecast a snowstorm beyond 4 to 5 days out. I mean, you can get some general idea of what might happen, but it's just, you know, we could see a trough. Typically, the troughs that ever come into the United States are coming, you know, at least during the winter, are like way back up here or up here, and they're diving down or whatever. And when we see that sort of pattern, I mean, it's just so far away. Lots of things can change. And when those troughs get here, it could be possibly up here or down here. I mean, it makes a massive difference between where we might see a low pressure system. Long term, I mean, again, if you're anywhere beyond 4 to 5 days out, the range is almost like, it's almost like predicting a tropical storm or hurricane, but those are a little bit more predictable. But I mean, it's kind of like predicting that with a cone. Like the low pressure could be up here, it could be up here, it could be weaker, it could be stronger, and it might not even exist. I mean, there's a lot of factors, so things do change, but it's obviously gonna be something to watch long term, for sure. Yeah, there's been already some snow over there in the Rockies. I know they had some snow recently, or they might have had it recently, but I know their first snow was a couple of weeks ago. Alrighty. Back over here real quick. All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's stream. Again, I was only planning for this to be an hour anyways. It's been over an hour now, but I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Before you leave, make sure to hit the like button down below. I would appreciate it. Also, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not already. Again, I do almost daily forecasts. Go live for a lot of stuff like winter events. Obviously, this is pretty much a prelude to the actual event that we're going to see, but gives you at least an idea of what to expect. I didn't include everything in today's forecast, so I wanted to go live and kind of give you a breakdown that's more detailed. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have any specific questions and I've not answered them on this live stream, feel free to comment them down below after this live stream is done, or comment them on my latest forecast, and I'll try to get back to them as soon as possible. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you do want to support me above and beyond, by the way, you can become a member on YouTube for as little as $3 a month. It goes a long way for me, so if you want to support my page, I would really appreciate it. You can click the link that's pinned in the chat, or click the link in the top of the description if you want to support my page above and beyond by becoming a member. You also get a chat badge, exclusive forecasts, and bloopers access, and much more. So, but otherwise, I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, and we will see you guys all again whenever the next live stream is, or whenever the next forecast is. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you guys all again soon.